Hi, my name is Paul Garcia. How you started playing basketball?
Early on. I mean, I was 5 years old. I picked it up. My dad was a fan of the game. He played in high school. He played a little bit in college. From my early years, I remember him watching the games, and I would see some players and stuff like this on TV, and that's how I picked it up, just on a whim.
How's your college basketball life in Colorado?
What's college basketball like in Colorado? Well, just give you a little background. Me moving to Colorado from where I was from was totally different, and so there was a culture shock to me, which was exactly what my mother wanted for me. She wanted me to go and experience a place that was not like home, if you will. And so I was juggling that and also juggling a new and higher level of the game of basketball. And so it was like drinking water out of a fire hose, if you will, for me, my freshman year. But ultimately, with time and patience, I adapted and, became obviously used to the culture there in Colorado, and also the game, which is where I was able to excel and ultimately be drafted. But to put it in a nutshell, college was, that 5 years snapshot that I was there. It was an experience. It was, college is the transition. It's that middle ground between, living with your parents in your own home and in the real world, right? You're not in your parents' home every night. They're not telling you when to come home and, have a, curfew. You can make your own decisions, but you're also not out in the real world. There's also like training wheels for this, you know what I mean? It's like, because now there's people that do still care and love for you, if you will, who will go out of their way to help you, who are paying for things for you, if you need something. But, and that's what that was for me.
How's the feeling drafted in the NBA?
What was that feeling like being drafted in the NBA? It was a whirlwind, because my life, the moment my name was called, my life changed and hasn't been the same since. And I mean that in the best way possible. My life completely changed. It elevated. My status elevated. My financials were elevated. When I walk into a room, the things that I say about particular topics, they hold more weight now. And so my life completely changed. And I went through that process. That was crazy. Me being drafted the way I was drafted, didn't have time to really allow the emotions to soak up with my family of being drafted. The minute my name was called, it was like, hey, pack your bags and I'm gone. And it's boom, 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 boom. And you right into summer league. And then you boom, 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 boom. You right into the season. And then boom, 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 boom. And so that was so I would say it was a whirlwind, but I'm very thankful for it, because it was a lot that was thrown at me, and I was around a lot of brilliant minds, and so I'm part of that fraternity.
How's experience playing in the NBA?
Well, I didn't play a ton. I don't have a lot of minutes logged in the NBA, but overall, this is in the basketball industry, athletically, is the best of the best athletes. And I would say it in that way because, I've been privileged enough to play also abroad, and I see that, the NBA for sure has the best athletes, but I think think if you were players who played enough overseas, I think they would agree and say that, the best minds are, I think, are in Europe. From a coaching standpoint, coaches, players, all of these. Yeah, I mean, you got the best athletes. You've got, 6, 7 footers who can run, jump, and who are famous, and it's a rock star league. You got to perform on a nightly basis, 4 days a week. Lots of travel. There's not a lot of time for practice just because of the travel, and the games are so tight. And and within that, you got to really take care of your body. You got to be able to make sure that you're managing your body, you're managing your sleep and your recovery and the things that you put into your body. And, you really have to fight off. A lot of people want your attention. You start to not hear the word no as much. Everything is yes, of course, absolutely. And, with all that access, it can be tempting. And so I got to see a lot of people with all the access in the world, but yet still be professionals, be pros, still waking up, still going to bed early, still taking care of their bodies, regardless of, whatever it is, the access that they may have. But they always kept the main thing. And so I was able to watch and learn from that. And, and I also got to watch and learn from people who had the same amount of access, but who didn't put basketball first and didn't put their job first. And I saw where that got them. And so it was very clear for me which approach I wanted to take. And, so that's what it was like for me in the NBA. I don't have a ton of minutes logged in games, but I got just enough minutes. I mean, for sure minutes, but for sure just enough. I was just around just enough, just the right amount of pros, if you will, to be able to help me in my career in the long term. So I'm very thankful for that experience.
Who is NBA teammate you learned the most?
I was around a lot of guys about the same amount, but the one guy that comes to mind is Jamal Crawford. For me, he was my teammate. He was my vet. My rookie year, our lockers were right next to each other, and just like a kid, you raising a child, they may not say much, but they're watching their parents. They're watching everything they do, and that's what Jamal was for me. Like, I was watching a guy. Hey, here's a guy with a career that I want. He had played up to that point. He had played 19 years in the NBA, and that's the type of longevity that I want in my life. And so, yeah, I'm watching all this. I'm watching everything he does. I'm watching his approach. I'm watching what he's doing before practice. I'm watching what he's doing after, during practice, before the game, after the game. I'm watching what he's sleep. I'm watching what he's eating. I'm asking him these questions. I'm seeing him on the plane. He's bringing recovery tools to keep his legs fresh. And then he's also taking care of me. He's throwing an arm around me, and going out of his way to make sure that I was good as well. So I would say Jamal Crawford.
Have you learned Kawhi Leonard in Clippers, bro?
Yeah, also Kawhi as well. Not as much as Jamal, because my time when I was with the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi wasn't playing. And we knew coming into that season, before the season started, that Kawhi was going to be out for the year. So he wasn't around as much. He wasn't on. I never even saw him lace up, But whenever he was around, I did see him come into the facility with his team of professionals and medical staff, and do maintenance on his body. I wear toe spacers right now to this day because of Kawhi. I saw him. He had toe spacers on his feet while he was getting treatment in the training room. And I asked the physio that was treating me. I asked him, "Hey, what is that on his feet?" And he said, "They're toe spacers." And I was like, "What do they do?" And he told me what they did. I was like, "Oh, that's dope. I want a pair." And so he reached in the drawer behind him and tossed me a pair of toe spacers. I still have them, and I wear them to this day. But you hear the stories. I didn't get a ton of time I didn't get a ton of time around Kawhi, but it's funny. I figured I would, but I know he and we know a lot of the same. We're close to a lot of the same people, so I hear, about how he is on and off the floor, and so but yeah, I didn't get a ton of time around Kawhi at all.
How's your first overseas career started?
It started the year after my first year in the NBA. I went to Italy. I was being forced to Europe with my agency. They valued me more in their agency than in NBA because they felt as if they already had the NBA monopolized, and they had some players in the NBA, so they wanted to go and branch and do that same thing, that same formula in Europe, in the European market, and they wanted to use me as one of the trailblazers to do that. And so I went to and I didn't know this at the time, but I know this now. But anyway, I go to Europe injured actually, and it was a culture shock, a basketball culture shock, because in the United States, and all my life up until that point, when the game breaks down and there's 5 seconds on the clock, you're gonna find your ball. You're gonna find the ball. The ball's gonna find the best scorer, wherever it may be, a guard or a big, and it's gonna play 1-on-1. In the late shot clock, right? And it's gonna play 1-on-1 versus the best defender. In Europe, they're still running action. They're still moving the ball. They're still running action. And this goes back to what I was alluding to earlier about, the best minds, because yes, as in the United States, we have the best athletes, but in Europe, even though they aren't as athletic as we are over, by margin, yet they can still compete and if not beat a lot of American players just because of how they think the game and how they play the game from a mental standpoint. And those are the things that hit me over the side of the head early. The moment I landed off the plane in Italy was how they go about the game. There, the court is smaller. The rules are a little different, but the biggest difference is, how they attack the game, and they do it from a 5-on-5 standpoint, which is beautiful. Beautiful. If you're able to really, execute it and have a trained eye for it, I think you'll find beauty in it, which I have. And it took me 3 years. It took me 3 seasons to figure this system out and how to play it in that way. So you can imagine what that was like for me, coming from the NBA, right? Coming from being humbled, going to Europe, and then also basically being told you don't know how to play. You know what I mean? And so, that was the experience for me. Obviously, off the court, I'm in Italy. I'm 2 hours from Milan. Being able to see the world is one thing also. So,
How's you recruited in the PBA?
well, I wasn't actually. There was a particular team in the PBA that was thinking about signing me. Ultimately, they did not. I was just sitting at home. I had no job, and I was kind of ready to go. I was like, it was later in the year, and I believe it was like October. Yeah, it was almost. It was October, and I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. And I'm talking to my agent on a daily basis, and he's like, hey, we don't really have anything. Well, the team that I play for, Blackwater, they were interested and tried to sign one of the players within my agency, and they felt as if the deal was done, but that particular player had got offered more money somewhere else. So of course, business is business. He took the better job for him and his family. Well, my agent, to kind of save the relationship between him and the club, said this, hey, player, another team came and bought him out, if you will. I have another guy who fits the profile because this is in the Governor's Cup where you need to be a certain height. He said he fits the profile. Would you mind? You can take him. He's available now. And Blackwater had just parted ways with their former import that they had, and they were being fined money for every game that they would play without having an import. So they took a leap of faith and signed me. So immediately they signed. We come to an agreement. We sign. I get on a plane, and the rest is history. But that's how that happened. It was by chance, and the stars really aligned for that to happen. And I'm very happy it happened. It opened doors for me. Also, it's made me aware of the Philippines. I wasn't aware of the league before, and the history there. And ultimately, that's what this is about. I believe life is lived through experiences, and that was definitely an experience for me. And I hope that I get to cross paths with again. So hopefully in August I'll be back.
How's experience playing in the Blackwater?
It was an experience. Like I said, the PBA in general, how they go about it, the spacing is kind of like the NBA. It's sort of like the NBA, which was nice. I felt like that. The courts every night are very good, very professional. My team was really nice. Really liked the guys, and it was fun, man. I enjoyed my time.
How's your duo with Cedric Bearfield?
So in the first conference that I was playing, I didn't even notice what we were doing together, just because, here I am, I'm fresh off this plane, mind you, I signed in the middle of the year, and, I was so narrowly focused on like, hey, just play well. Just play well, because I understand that in that league, they rotate guys all the time. They get guys in, they get guys out based on whatever. And so I wanted to make sure that every night that I didn't give the team a reason to get rid of me. And so I was so narrowly focused on that. So I didn't even feel that what people were, because I would go out and I would hang out, go get dinner, and people were like, man, you and said this tandem. And now that I watch the games back, I look and I see how, if you look early, like in the last conference, I would be, doing my thing, and then it just depends. Say to be closing the game out for the win, or vice versa. And it was like, pick your poison, you know what I mean? And give you a little background. I knew Seth before I even came to Blackwater. That was another reason what made me comfortable to come also, because I didn't have a ton of prior experience with Seth, but I had a ton of experience playing against Seth, because we played in the same conference in college. So I played him twice a year, sometimes even three. So I knew Seth in his game, and he and I have a mutual friend, a lot of mutual friends actually, out of California. But I didn't have a personal relationship with Seth. But based on our mutual friends, I kind of figured that he and I would get along. Anyway, but no, going back and watching the games, I got to see like, wow, we were really doing something together. So, that was pretty cool. In the second conference, in the unlimited height conference, I did not get to play with Seth as much. He was out I believe the entire year. I think he played 1 or 2 games, but he was out with a plantar fasciitis in his foot. So I didn't get to play with him at all, really, in the second part of the season, unfortunately.
Why you choose jersey number 94?
Number 94? That's my 3-point percentage. And my free throw percentage, 94. No, that's I like that number a lot. actually. Now I can learn it. 94 is the length of. I chose that number when I first came back to the NBA with the Clippers, leaving Europe. So here's the whole story on that. So when I left Europe after my 3-year stint in Europe, playing in various teams in Europe, I wore number 24. I wore number 24 all in college. I wore 24 in high school. 24 all the way up into that point. And when I left Europe, I was like, okay, I felt different. I was like different in a good way though. I felt like better. Like I'm not the same. Like I'm a different player. Boom. How I approach this game is different from here on out. Like 24 is a great number. This, that, and the third. But like people, when you think of number 24, people think of Kobe Bryant. They think of Kobe. What's my number? What is that? And I sat and I just meditated on it, and it hit me. It was 94. 94 is when I went to the Clippers. I told myself, I said, I'm picking up everybody from a defensive standpoint from the 94 feet. That's how long the court is. For anybody that's a basketball number, right? You got basketball numbers. 24, you got a 24-second shot clock. That's a basketball number. 48, you got a 48-minute game. That's a basketball number, right? 12 is a basketball number. These are, and 94 is a basketball number. I can go all day. Anyway, this 94 is one that's overlooked, right? Anyway, and so also on top of that, 94 is the year I was born, right? So there was that as well. And so, after sitting there thinking, I remember when I signed with the Clippers, you get the text and they ask you, hey, what's your jersey size and your jersey number? And, I meditated on it. I said, you know what? I was going to say 24. I was like, nah, 94. That's my number. That's me. That's George King. Like, Evan Fournier, there's a guy in Israel right now. He's from Houston, Texas. He's wearing 94. I'm like, you guys that's not your number, bro. That's my number. I'm 94, Mr. 94 for sure.
If you became professional player, what do you think your work right now?
I'll tell you, I had basketball was the only goal. It's the only love that I had. This is the only thing that motivates me to do and work hard like I do. I never had a backup plan or a safety net to catch me if for some reason if I fell. I was going to do this regardless of what happened. It was hoop, and I was going to do this for a living, and I knew that since I was 5 years old.
How's so far with Lebanon?
It's been another experience. This is a different type of rhythm here, if you will, living wise. The rules are different. Lack thereof rules, which has really been cool. Just driving in the car, or riding my bike. But very nice people, very loving, very nice people. Going to I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about this today. I was playing golf today. And as normally I like to go to the clubhouse and have a meal or something to eat after I play golf. And when I went to the Philippines, that was the first time in my life I felt like especially in the second conference, I felt like I was famous. I'm like, okay, I think I've reached a level of fame in the Philippines, right? And so because when I walk outside, every few minutes or so, if someone would recognize me or ask for a picture. That's happened here as well. And it's not because of the Philippines. It's because of how many games have I played now? 6 or 7 games that I've played here so far. This is the best team in the Middle East. And overall, the Middle East has a rich history here. This team has been around for 40 years. And this is like the Boston Celtics. This is the best team in the Middle East overall. And also, like the Philippines, basketball here is also the number one sport It's not any other sport. It's basketball. They love basketball players. They love basketball. And so when you pair those two together, and then you got a guy like myself who comes in and does and do what I do, people recognize that. Yeah, exactly. And so people recognize that. And so when I'm on my bike, even when I'm in my car driving, people will like honk and see me driving in my car, or like if I were to walk out to this balcony right here, I bet you within 5 minutes someone's gonna see me and say, "Hey, George King, can you come down here and take a picture," or whatever the case may be. And so, really, really nice people. The food is amazing. They got amazing hummus. I've been having hummus every day, but the food is really good. Everyone speaks English, which is nice. Obviously, yes, they speak Arabic as well. Beautiful town, beach town. I went fishing yesterday on a boat. The day before that, I rode the bike, or 2 days before that, I was on my bike because I live in the city. I was on my bike and I was riding around. It's one of those, and skiing. It'll only take you about 30 minutes difference in driving, But great experience. The basketball here is a lot like Europe, so I kind of miss playing in that tight space again. How this team plays, how they moving the ball. Guys know how to play. They think the game at a high level, and they can all shoot. They know when to cut, how to cut, when to space, when to screen, when not to screen, why not to screen, when to post. And it's kind of been fun to play in that environment. And it's like, here it's like, most of the guys here average 15 points. Like the whole team, we play all 12 guys. We play 10 of the 12 guys. Everyone averages around 15 points a game. And one night somebody might have 30. That just happens. It's kind of like that. But we've been undefeated since I've been here. It's been good. And the guys are, they've been playing together since they were youth players, so they know the chemistry. They know each other very well. It's funny to see some of the passes they make into each other. It's like they already know they're going to be in those spots. And so, I just fill in, and just do what I do as well. So, I've had my moments in the WASL, in the Western Asia Super League. I had my 30 ball, 33 points, and hit some shots to seal the game, if you will. But for the most part, it's I don't need to do that every night. It's just do what I do and move on. And they seem to like it. And the fans have been showing me a lot of love here. Just the community in general. So.
Last question, starting 5 all-time of your teammates.
I play with some dudes, man. I gotta go Joe Johnson. That's one of my favorite players. I played with him. I gotta go my dog Paul George, Kawhi. Gotta go Devin Booker, and then myself.
Thank you for watching.